G'day everybody. We're going to be talking about Portal 1. I thought it's been a while since the game came out. A very long while. Portal 1 came out in 2007. That is 15 years ago. I don't know about you, but I think that makes it a retro game in my mind. So, let's talk about it. And luckily enough, they just released a ray tracing version of the game with a whole bunch of settings and features. And so I thought now is the best opportunity ever to do it. So much so that I played through it all, ray traced, and then I went, that was alright. And I looked at how long it took me to beat the game. An hour and a half. An hour and a half. And I went, damn. Well, how good is this now that we've had 15 years of a gap between playing it again? Does Portal 1 actually hold up? Does this ray tracing mode actually make it worthwhile? Now, for those of you who do not know the story of Portal 1, it was designed by Kim Swift as a university project originally, and had these really janky looking square portal graphics. I'm sure I've got some images on the screen for you. And then Valve saw this somehow and went, hey Kim, we think you did a good job. How about doing it for us and doing it in our universe and having some fun with it? So she did, and then Portal 1 came out in 2007. Along with Team Fortress 2, another community-created game. It was originally Team Fortress 1, which was a CS 1.6 mod, which wasn't a great game, but polished up. Team Fortress 2 came out also in 2007. And at the same time, Half-Life Episode 1 and 2 were coming out. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2. And they're like, well, let's do the Orange Box. And the fantastic release of the Orange Box came out. Next, we go, that's fantastic. That's great. What about the game itself? So we go through it. So the game starts off with, you're in the cell and you're waiting for GLaDOS to show up. And this is a great point to show out the new ray tracing lighting in this game. It looks fantastic on a static object, but the moment you start moving an object, the shadow sort of like fades in and out and gets all divery. And when you compare this to the original game, the shadow is like crisp straight away. There's no like couple of seconds as it fades in and out as the rays get shot through the new graphics lighting. But you wake up in this room and you're very confused, and GLaDOS is talking to you and she says the portal's going to start, and you go, wow, well, this is interesting. And you can look through the portal and you can see yourself and you go, that's peculiar. You then go into the first room and it shows you the most fundamental puzzle this game has, which is the switch and the weight. The weight being the cube, the switch being the button. And then you put the cube on the button and allows you to go through the next room. And then we get into the lovely elevator. Now this elevator is different in this ray tracing mode. It has a window down the bottom, which I personally didn't notice until I played through the game again. Yes, I played through the game again on the original graphics just to compare them and have the footage for this video. And it surprised me that there was windows there because I was very confused, and that's so that it can add some different and more ambient lighting to this room with the new ray tracing effects. One thing that left me a little bit upset, as you can see in the top left hand corner of all my images and videos of this gameplay, the frame rate. It is really bad. It hits 60 FPS, but all the time it's not consistent at all. Compared to the original version, you're hitting 300s. It's fantastic. And then exit the first, room and we get introduced to the portal gun itself. This is the game's best trait. It allows you to create a portal and create challenging puzzles that really make your mind think. But in this game, it's all very simple. There's a few twists and turns, but it's not important. And then we get into the story of the game, which is GLaDOS personally attacking us and our intelligence and our ability and our general ability.
Remember, the Aperture Science Bring Your Daughter to Work Day is the perfect time to have her tested.
And we slowly go through these rooms that these puzzles and tests that she's set up, and they get progressively harder and more intricate, but for the most of the time it's just, creates a concept, you can see the concept, you then do an advanced version of the concept, and then you move on to the next floor. And so on and so forth for about like 6 or so floors. You learn about like walls that you can't put portals on, walls that you can put portals on, and they really make you think about how to go about this. And they do things where they shoot these balls out of the wall and you have to get into a receiver, but to know where the ball's going to land, it leaves a little scotch mark on the wall. So you go, it's going to land there. So you know where to shoot your portal. And then know where to shoot another portal, it shoots a little orange light out so you know where to shoot the other portal. And just does these little things just to make it easier on the player to understand where to go next. And then we get to some longer puzzles where you have to do more intricate things such as timing. You have to understand that the ball is going to take a certain time to move from area to area. You have to activate certain levers and puzzles at the right time so that the ball will connect correctly. And then we get the all-important, very loved companion cube.
The vital apparatus vent will deliver a weighted companion cube in 3, 2, 1. This weighted companion cube will accompany you through the test chamber. Please take care of it.
Along with the companion cube, we also get our first wallman. Who is the wallman? He is the guy that either is Chell in a previous run of this game, or it's someone else completely, and they have written a bunch of messages about GLaDOS and the testing chamber itself. And it creates a mystery of the game, and you're wondering about what is actually going on in Aperture Labs. Where is everyone else? Am I the only human? Is GLaDOS the reason why I'm the only human? What is going on at Aperture? And we have all these other little cute things of someone clearly going before us, and that clearly the lab is in disarray and there's not enough human help or android help to really get this going. And it almost feels like the AI is sort of being set in its course to continue to run these challenges for these test subjects that have either been left in cryo-freeze or habitual sleep for a long time, like drug-induced sleep, I should say. And it leaves all these questions in your mind about what's really going on. Which brings us to the companion cube, the only different thing in this game. And this is important because it shows that while there is this different concept of this companion cube, it was clearly designed by someone to be different, to intrinsically put this fear in you. And as you get attached to the companion cube, it of course asks you to then destroy the companion cube, which of course you can make the choice to not destroy it and jump into the lava itself and destroy it yourself. Of course that does absolutely nothing, just resets the game, and so you have to destroy it actually to progress. And as you progress, you are slowly but surely losing faith that this AI is running this system fairly and correctly.
As part of a required test protocol, our previous statement suggesting that we would not monitor this chamber was an outright fabrication.
And as you get into later stages of the course, there is more and more of these walled man caves that you can go in and investigate. And there's not really any information here. Like, if this was a normal AAA game, let's just say Bioshock, in every single one of these Wallman caves, there would be an audio log or a piece of paper that would teach you everything about the world and how the world broke down, which will happen when we get to Portal 2, which I'm not going to review in this video, but it really makes you go, there is something else going on, and it's kind of interesting. But this isn't why you play Portal. You play Portal for the puzzles. And as I said, up to this point, a lot of the puzzles have been pretty simple. The companion cube puzzles actually make you think about how to best use the cube to defend yourself from the bouncing balls, to use portals in a more protracted period so that you can send balls from one side of the stage to the other side of the stage using these portals safely and effectively without killing yourself, including timing like dodging the ball and then re-dodging onto the button so that it can get through the door to open up the next puzzle. And then we get to floor 18, where we get the fundamental test of all the skills you've learned so far. It has jumping into a portal from a stationary position instead of just walking into the portal. It has using momentum correctly so that you can jump up high and then to the side. It has a pillar that moves that you can't put a pole on, and it ends up getting to a position that's angled so you can then put a pole on it, and then you can jump through the floor to get to a cube. It also has a bunch of turrets that you need to destroy by using the bouncing balls as a projectile to be an offensive capability. It also has timing, which is very important. So you need to get the timing correctly for your jump so that you can get the portal in the correct spot and go to the next area while continuously jumping up. And this is all in the one level, and it's a fantastic level and does it well. And brings us to the final stage. You've seen these numbers slowly tick up from 1 all the way to 19, so you know that number 19, this should be your greatest test ever. And it's a relatively simple room. It's kinda really too easy. But it's got some challenges. Oh, you have to, walk through a portal blind and walk around the wall using the portal. And there's acid on the floor, and you have to make sure you get it right. And then, what's this at the end of this thing? It's simple of a cake. Oh yes, I love cake, and then oh no, it's fire, and I am trapped, and I'm slowly moving towards my demise. Whatever shall we do? Of course, in the footage we see that I just, I know what to do. I've been through this before. I just shoot a portal and shoot another portal, I hop out. But imagine, if you will, you haven't played this game before, and there's this pit of fire, and you're slowly moving towards it. And it goes, what do you do? What do you do? And your neurons are blasting. You're finally getting tested how to survive. Because all these other tests have been very passively trying to kill you. The only things that actively try to kill you are turrets, but they are in a stationary position that you can choose to not engage with. And even when you do engage with it, it has a long period of time before it really starts to kill you or shoot you. But this fire, it is coming whether you like it or not. It is actively trying to kill you as you slowly descend into it. But, of course, you're a smart cookie. You shoot a portal to a place where a portal can go, and you shoot another portal against the wall, and you hop right through it, and bam, you're safe from the fire. But now, what do you do? Where do you go? You can't shoot portals to the next area. It doesn't go anywhere. And you have to think, and you get lost, and you're confused. Am I trying to escape Gladys now? Am I trying to defeat her? What is the goal? And that is what the next half of the game is. This is the fundamental twist of Portal that is great. It is as good of a twist as the Would You Kindly from Bioshock. I know I've brought up Bioshock twice in this video, but Bioshock 1 is a great example of this game's meta story in a protracted period. But Portal does it in a much narrower focus, making the story bits hit that much crisper, that much faster, because you're not waiting and you already guessed the conclusion. You're like, yeah, get on with it, get on with it. And the twist is like, oh, it's a pretty good twist. And then you have like this whole hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours of gameplay after the twist where you're just sort of like rushing to the end. But in this game, you get to the twist, and instead of feeling rushed to the end, which you are feeling exhilaration to get to the end, because adrenaline is now pushing you, because you now are not being a passive observer in this AI's game. You are now actively trying to prevent the AI's plans, or so you think. And then you realize very quickly as you go through, there are, in fact, wallman marks all around, showing you that someone else has been here before. Maybe this isn't as unique of experience as you thought. Maybe something else is manipulating you, and you're still trapped in the wider gamut of the AI's plans. This is something that you don't really understand on your first playthrough, but definitely starts coming through as you get to your second playthrough, your third playthrough. You sort of realize, hang on a second. What if the Wallman is GLaDOS, and GLaDOS is trying to destroy themselves? And the only way they can do this is by manipulating the player into thinking that GLaDOS is this benevolent evil entity, in a way, so that she would be forced to go forward more. But of course, that's just one interpretation. It could easily have just been someone before you, or it could have even been Chell, and Chell's been trying this numerous times and it's failed numerous times and has been slowly leaving clues for herself. Or it's another tester that's been through all this before, and at some point GLaDOS managed to stop them before they get to the end. It's all unclear. It never gets explained, even in Portal 2. And then we get to some more lovely challenges, but what I find important is this red arrow pointing down. When I first played through this game, when I was way back in 2007, I think it was like 2008, I think I played it first. And I was in high school and I was going, this doesn't feel right. And you hop down this red arrow and you're in this room and it doesn't feel right. There's these several pistons hit together, there's clearly an exit, and you go, oh, I'm trapped by pistons behind me as well now, I can't go back, I have to go forward. And you try to rush through and the pistons shut in front of you, and now you're stuck in a room. And you are completely trapped. And what comes at you is, of course, GLaDOS's only tool to attack you. Turrets. It is clearly GLaDOS is against you. And that the Wallman cannot be trusted. In fact, the Wallman may be GLaDOS, as I've said. And this is the only reason I have for this, because otherwise, why would this trap even exist? And why would these further escape paths even exist beyond that? So maybe GLaDOS is testing you to see if you are able to defeat her. Then we come to another important section that shows that the lab itself is being run down, not just the fact that there is these broken pipes, but there are these defective drones, these defective turrets that can no longer shoot you. They will aim at you, but they have no guns, they have nothing, and they are waiting for a human hand to build them. and so on and so forth. And then after escaping for a while longer, you find a few more of these Wallman areas that have the very repeating textures. In fact, far too repeating textures if you ask me. They are clearly the same textures that were used in other Wallman areas, which is why I think they were created by not a human. And we come to this new mechanic. A turret comes out of the game. GLaDOS says this is your last chance. This is GLaDOS clearly saying, this is my last test for you to see if you can beat me. If you can outwit this rocket turret, if you can use this turret correctly, you will have the ability to beat me. And so you use the turret to destroy some glass, then some more glass, and then you get stuck in this new area where you need to destroy some more glass. And you have to use portals to make the missiles go through the portal, through the next portal, and into the glass. And then again to release this cube so that it can be accessible to the next area. And then you move into the sewer, and it's more and more confusing. Where are we going? What are we even doing? Where are we even? And then we get into the real final test of the game, the turret room. This room is full of sentry turrets, all up and down the wall, and you have to take them all out methodically, one at a time. This isn't really a test by GLaDOS to prevent you from defeating her anymore. This is more GLaDOS getting her sense of defense, her last line. She wants to see if this player, this Chell, can outwit this final defense that she has put up. And if this is possible, then clearly the player is capable enough to meet her and beat her. And we get to this lovely hallway scene where it feels like all of the pipes and all of the walkways have been leading to the central location, which is where GLaDOS is. This lovely first walkway is so eerily quiet. There is nothing in there. And then you open a door and it looks just like all the other lab systems in the game, except for completely empty. There's a few more business rooms with no one in them, meeting rooms I should say, not business rooms. And you come to this lovely glass window and you're looking out and you see this absolutely vacuous space, and there's this central container that holds GLaDOS, which leads us to the final walkway as we slowly meet our maker in a way. We meet GLaDOS.
Well, you found me. Congratulations. Was it worth it? Because despite your violent behavior, the only thing you've managed to break so far is my heart. Maybe you could settle for that and we'll just call it a day. I guess we both know that isn't going to happen. You chose this path. Now I have a surprise for you. Deploying surprise in 5, 4. Time out for...
What's this? When GLaDOS is fighting you, a part falls off. There is a button connected to an incinerator. What should we do? I mean, clearly we've been trained to destroy things that we love. We destroyed the companion cube in this incinerator. We've learned that this destroys anything. So obviously this should destroy GLaDOS too. And as we do it, we destroy her first part, and bam, GLaDOS now puts us on a clock. So we stop even doubting ourselves about whether what we're doing is right. And she says that this rocket that's coming out of the ground is a malfunction of her behavior. That it was somehow attached to this AI that we destroyed. But clearly she released it so that we could destroy GLaDOS. And we confront her and we destroy GLaDOS. Of course, to do this we have to do a few last tests where we have to use portals to grab the pieces that fall off GLaDOS from various areas and then chuck them into the incinerator. They all have these unique and different personality traits. Some may view them as like the ids and the super ids and the ego and the super egos that are all slowly being chipped away from GLaDOS's armor, leaving eventually GLaDOS's core completely alone, which causes her to self-destruct and take the facility with her, vacuuming all of the space into the outside area. Not only that, sucking us up with her somehow, it's very unclear, and we end up outside, where a bunch of stuff falls down of GLaDOS's remains, and we see that Aperture Lab is a real place, and it's lots of trees, and it just seems like a government facility until we are dragged away into darkness to go unconscious. Which leads us to the end of the game, which is just this weird, interesting funnel through the pipes of the game, which leads us to some cake, and then a robot turning on, and the companion cube, and boom, game's over. They give us a nice song though, which is always good to hear. I like this song. I'm gonna have it at the outro. So what's Portal 1? All it's cracked up to be. Like I said, it is incredibly short game, an hour and a half, but I have beaten the game before. So if you're a new person playing the game, it might be 2.5 hours to 3 hours, maybe even 4 hours at the tops. Very short compared to most, in fact, all games that you play in any other system, except for maybe a few of the NES games back in the day that were incredibly short. It is short. Does it hold up? The puzzles to me are way too easy. Like, quite frankly, it's so easy. I was bored between like puzzle 10 and 15. So until the companion cube shows up that the game starts picking up. There was also one area that I completely brain farted on and spent way too long in one section going, oh, how do I do this? I need to like shoot myself to that point, right? I need to get myself, oh, I just gotta shoot a portal there. Oh, I guess that's super easy. These two side areas just literally have nothing in them, don't they? Oh, at least I got out. Should you play this with the RTS mod going on? RTS? RTX mod. I think no. Because this game at a crisp 300 frames per second is just as good as at 60 FPS with fancier lighting and shadows. I don't think the new ray trace lighting and shadows really add enough to this game to merit the massive performance loss. And this is with a 3090 graphics card. I have that 1440p resolution with performance DLSS on, so it's probably running at 720p being upscaled to 1440p. It is just not worth it. And the shadows, while better, are just not fundamentally better. There is still a lot of noise around the shadows because the resolution is too low to make the shadows look great. The extra lighting from the ray tracing, it doesn't feel natural whenever you add a dynamic light to the situation, such as shooting the portal blast or the portal glow from the portal being open. While it does, create some ambient effects, it also makes it feel very soft, especially the shadows. They feel way too soft and just doesn't quite connect right. So if you're playing through this game, I would recommend probably avoiding the RTX version of this game. If you want to see the RTX version of this game, I really recommend you go see Digital Foundry's Alex Vitale's review of this game and its ray tracing effects and all that, and he even goes into some optimized settings. But I think fundamentally ray tracing does not add anything to this game. All it does is hinder the performance. Now on the 4090, maybe it is a lot better and you can easily get above 120 FPS, which I think is necessary for a first person shooter in any case. I really think if you're playing below 120 FPS for first-person shooters, you just feel lagged because it's just not natural. It should be playing at least 120. 60 is fine. I played through this game at 60, but it wasn't consistent, and I didn't have full like forced vertical sync on at all times. But there was times when it dropped to 40, dropped at 67-ish, and just it wasn't consistent. It made it have a worse experience compared to the 300 frames per second version that I played later on, which only took me an hour because I managed to shave off 30 minutes of dithering about, which is why this game was really well renowned as a speedrunners game. And there was a lot of tricks that you can do, such as propelling yourself through certain tests. You can literally walk through walls, go outside the test facility, and then walk back into the test facility. A lot of cool tricks was done with this game. That being said, should you play it again? Does it hold up? I think yes. It is a classic for a reason. It is such a short experience, which makes it so that you can just play it on a lazy Saturday afternoon and go, yeah, that was alright. And you should. I also want to thank Josh Strive Haves. He makes phenomenal videos, and his does these games hold up videos of a lot of retro games really make me feel like these sort of videos can stand the test of time. I don't think I'm anywhere close to his videos, but you know, he's great. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Did you play the Portal 1 with ray tracing? Would you play it again with ray tracing? Did you play it again after with ray tracing, without ray tracing, to see the performance difference? Would you prefer it that way? You know, all these things. Alright guys, I'll see you next one.